So you decided you want to become a web developer. What do you actually need to know to get hired? To succeed in this role, you'll need technical skills that are often listed in job descriptions. Let's walk through what the skills are, why each one matters, and what you're actually doing with them on the job. You might be tempted to learn just enough HTML and CSS to get to JavaScript and then move on. This makes sense because JavaScript often feels like real programming. But developers who invest real time in HTML and CSS build things that are cleaner, more accessible, and easier to maintain. Once you have that foundation, JavaScript is what brings a web page to life. Without JavaScript, a website is basically a document. With it, things happen. A button click opens a menu. A form checks your input before you submit it. Content updates on the page without having to reload everything. That's JavaScript doing its job. The fundamentals here are functions, loops, conditionals, and something called the DOM, which is how JavaScript talks to the HTML on the page. Get comfortable with these things and a lot of other things start to come together. From there, you can learn a JavaScript framework. React is one that shows up in a lot of job postings. This library makes building complex web applications much more manageable. Instead of writing the same code over and over, you build components that you can reuse. Git is version control. It is how developers track their changes to their code, work on features without breaking the main project, and collaborate with other people. Every professional development team uses it. When you're on a team, you're constantly committing code, creating branches, merging work, reviewing each other's changes. Here's one that doesn't always make it into the beginner skill list, but comes up constantly in interviews and on the job: responsive design. A surprising number of people who visit websites do so on their phone. The layout you build needs to look correct on a phone screen, a tablet, and a desktop. And that requires understanding how to write CSS that adapts to different screen sizes. It's also worth developing a working understanding of how the web actually functions underneath everything you're building. Developers who can speak to this have a much easier time debugging problems, optimizing performance, and communicating with the rest of a technical team. Your portfolio is where you show future employers what you can actually do. The projects that tend to impress are the ones you've built yourself, from ideas that you've actually had that solve a real problem or do something genuinely interesting. Put the code on GitHub so people can look at it, and practice talking about what you've built. Being able to walk someone through your own work clearly is a skill in itself. Web development is one of those fields where the path forward is genuinely learnable. The skills are real, the work is real, and the people who get hired are the ones who build a real foundation and keep it going. So let's bring it all together. HTML and CSS gives you structure and the look. JavaScript makes things interactive. A framework like React lets you build at scale. Git keeps your work organized and makes you a functional teammate. Responsive design makes sure what you build works for everyone on every device. A solid understanding on how the web works gives you an edge when things get complicated. And your portfolio is where it all comes together and becomes something you can show. If you're ready to build yours, explore the links in the description and subscribe to our channel for more career readiness content.